Howdy, everyone. Welcome back. Split up the docs a little bit more to kind of reflect what we were looking at. We did an intro and we did the developer documentation. Now we're going to switch gears and look at the designer documentation, the contributor documentation, the tutorial section, and then all of the various aspects that make up like the reference section, which is all of the components that we have, as well as the data module API or the data API module, and there's one more of them, maybe peek the package reference of everything. So I split up into some sections. We may interrupt the live stream to go from one to the other, but let's just keep going. And again, along the way, we were building kind of this reference series of tweets that could go out that point out different important aspects of that. And then in the live stream here, I'm also going to point out all the places for contribution that you could easily add some stuff. And again, if you've been watching so far, you could see that like you don't need to know a lot to be able to do this. So I think that this is pretty cool and will be helpful for those of you who want to contribute, as well as kind of the end result will be pointing to all the docs to help people realize how much has been done in the community. So that is what we were up to. Let me go ahead and share my screen and we'll keep going. Cool. 1 second, por favor. Okay, just got to get the chat ready. Cool. Okay, so now we are going to kick off the designer documentation section, which is pretty well done and has some nice stuff in it. So block design best practices. The primary interface for a block is a content area. Block toolbar is secondary. Setting sidebar should only be used for advanced. So I love this. It's got setup state versus live preview state. And it shows some really good examples of how to show when stuff is selected. And it has a bunch of do's and don'ts, such as naming conventions, the block descriptions, don't do anything branding, and placeholders. So I really like this. I'm going to grab a picture of this. This one I wish we could have a picture of, but there's too much in it. So we're going to have to summarize this a little bit, and then examples of everything. Placeholders, block settings. This is a really good design asset. I think we'll get to some of these assets, especially for places that stuff could be added back in. And yeah, it just gives some interesting ideas for what you could do with that and some best practices. So this is definitely something that we want to link up to in our resource. We're on day 20 here, so we've got block editor walkthrough day 20. The block design section of the docs, a great overview of best practices, do's and don'ts. So, is that not correct? How did they say it? Do's and don'ts? Yeah, don't apostrophe S. Yeah, don'ts. As well as what else does it show? And considering mobile, that could probably be brought up a little bit, as well as the dark editor, images, explanation of what that stuff is. And we got a little bit more room here, but let's nope, we want these. Cool. And we could put in our thing here. Oh, you know what we could do is like, we could do the maps one. I like that. Okay, so we could make this smaller and do a do's. And then we could do a don'ts, like that. And then I want to do one with a specific best practice after that. So here's our do's and our don'ts. some great considerations for designing your blocks. Best practices, do's and don'ts. Okay, now I want to do another one of here, 21, and this is going to say some best practices for block designed outlined in the docs. This is going to be too much. But let's see if we could fit it all. This would be awesome. Okay. Primary interface for block is the content area of the block. Block toolbar is secondary place for required options and controls. Setting sidebar only for advanced and tertiary controls. For block design. Let's see this. So close. Okay, we got to get this. Best practices for block design. Primary UI for editing block is block content area. Block toolbar is secondary for required options and controls. Setting sidebar, sweet. Okay, we got it. And then there's a cool image in there. Toolbar setting. There's like some pretty images that they had of just the block editor itself, like this kind of stuff that I think we could take a picture of that. That isn't really, let's do this. Yeah, that's cool. Cool, so this shows us that the block editor, some best practices for block setting designs for block design. Primary UI for editing block is block content area. Block toolbar, secondary for required options and controls. Setting sidebar only. Setting sidebar for advanced tertiary controls. Cool, I'm really enjoying this. This is nice. I think this is helpful stuff. Okay, cool. And now we got patterns. Isn't this cool? This is a great one. Block editors, general layout, toolbar, the block interface. So we could say the patterns docs, stay 22, 23, 22. I'm saying they have some nice visual overviews of the editor UI. Let's put that in, grab some cool image from it. Grab a couple images. So we can grab like 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. All right, so that's design patterns. Resources, yes, SketchPress. So this is going to be a resource for Sketch that will allow you to is the README. How to use this. Download, code, whatever is first page in introduction. Copy any of the artboards into a new page. Oh, you can download the whole thing into your sketch templates. And we're just waiting for this to download. Cool. So this is a great one. I want to take a picture of SketchPress, though. Let's see if anybody has an article about it. 10up does. Is this one of them? Okay, we're probably going to have something in here that we could grab, take a picture of. Yeah, this is really good. But I like that main overview one. They don't have the overview in the video. That was a cover image. Cool. Let's see. Did it finish downloading? Let's see if I could just... Wow, this is so good. Yep. Let's take a screenshot of that. Cool. So, and we could grab a screenshot of pages. Just one page. What the heck is that gray thing? Okay, so that should be able to give us some details to share with this. And you know what? Somebody should grab a picture of this and put that in there. It does say that they're not exactly the same. Sketch is also a paid app, I believe. Oh, try for free, but maybe somebody's using this in another form. It would be really hard to port over. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So let's link to this, but we will talk about it a little bit differently. So SketchPress. It's a sketch app, I think. Sketch app, I don't know which one it is a design resource available for creating mock-ups of blocks and editor UIs. And we will link to it. Nope. Link to it. And then we could grab some of these pictures. Cool. And keep going. Animation. Okay, so this is the last section of the designer reference. Animation can help reinforce a sense of hierarchy, spatial orientation, etc. So this goes into general principles. Point of origin, animation can help anchor user interface, menu, sense of place, a sidebar, real-world materials, one on screen. Okay, speed, animation should never block user interaction. It should be fast, almost completed in 0.2 seconds. User should not have to wait. Animation should be performant. Use CSS transforms. Good to know. Animation can't be fast and performant. Leave it out. Don't bounce if it isn't made of rubber. Don't rotate or follow. Keep it simple. Interesting. Good to know. In creating consistent animations, we have to establish physical rules, how elements behave. Reuse animations if one already exists in your task. Okay. Accessibility. They should be subtle, cognizant of vestibular disorders triggered by motion. Good to know. Don't animate elements that are currently reporting content to adaptive technology. ARIA Live region that receiving updates. You don't want to animate that because it can cause confusion. Avoid animations that aren't directly triggered by user behaviors. That's helpful. Whenever possible, ensure that animation OS level reduced motion, prefers reduced motion media query, Gutenberg, at reduced motion mixin. Cool. Inventory of reused. So the generic animation component is used to animate different parts of the interface. See the component for that. So this is going to allow you to set a type of animation, which ones are available. We have appear and slide in. Cool. So if you need something to appear, if you need it to slide in, then use the component, the animate component. This is a great piece of doc. I don't think that enough people probably know about. So let's, this was day 1, it should be day 23. And this will be day 24. The animation docs for designers covers some great tips. Use CSS transform. Less than 0.2 seconds. Keep it simple. Reuse. Accessibility considerations. We'll take out that. Use CSS transforms for performance, usually less than 0.2 seconds. Accessibility considerations. The animate component for appear and fade in. Cool. And now what do we want to get from this? We'll do the animate component documentation so that they could see like a little component reference. Yeah, that'll be nice. Cool. Man, that's really cool. I actually didn't know about all of that, so I'm really happy that reading through all of this. Animation docs for designers covers some great tips. Use CSS transform. There's more. Hopefully they'll figure out that that wasn't the entirety of everything. Okay. Oh, hold on. I want to be on that page. Animation. Nope. Okay. Now we get into the contributor documentation. So I'm actually going to, for the sake of, well, I can just keep going here. Yeah. Okay. Contributor documentation. I was going to switch over to another session, but we've still got plenty of time, so I'm just going to keep going. So this contributor documentation is for people, technical details around setup and submitting your contribution. So there's an architecture and principles of Gutenberg that links to some high-level principles. Cool. And then here are the different sections: design contributions, developer contributions, documentation contributions. So we can link to these 3 today, right? Okay, 25. There are extensive docs for wanting to contribute to Gutenberg. Designer contributions. So we'll say overview. Designer contributions, developer contributions, documentation contributions. Cool. Let's just grab all those. We can make these shorter, I think. That's fine. Whoop, wrong place. Developer contributions. Shorten it, and let's see if we can get one last one. Documentation contributions. Overview. So we're going to have to shorten this. Designers. Here we'll say design, development, documentation. Here are some great docs for contributing. Overview, design, say design, overview, design, development, documentation. Let's say some great docs for contributors. Great, okay. And we'll grab that image from the main one there. Cool. Okay. So let's just go back to contributor docs. The principles. I wonder who wrote this. Use have focus. Yeah, I don't know that this is probably going to need too much help, but it might maybe a graphic. I don't know. Design principles, goal of Gutenberg, kickoff posts, why, vision. Everything is a block. All blocks are equal. Drag and drop is secondary. Placeholders are key. Direct manipulation. That's kind of cool. I love this. I wonder how much of that we could fit into a tweet. Let's see, because that's some pretty good stuff there. Design vision docs. Everything is a block. All blocks are equal. Drag and drop is secondary. Place holders are key. Direct manipulation is intuitive. Code editing. Code shouldn't. Customization shouldn't require code. And let's see if that fits in. Yeah, and we got room to spare. Cool. Let's see, from the design vision docs. Cool, I really like this. This is awesome. Okay, future opportunities. I can't wait for this. The whole Gutenberg, you could say like theme header, the core content, you could put this stuff all over the place. This is gonna be cool. Blocks are the interface. Okay, so block toolbar. This is stuff that was somewhere else, so I'm going to kind of skip over that. I don't know that needs to be there anyways. Oh, this is super helpful. If you're looking for the Gutenberg logo, this is where to find it. Right? Is that helpful? You're looking for... No. That might be a waste of a day. I don't know if that's necessary. Okay, developer contributions. This is an awesome section. Getting started. Yeah, we got to talk about this. So this shows how to get started, installing everything, setting up your local environment, running it on a remote server, and there's a playground. It talks about the Git workflow. Yeah, each of these, the coding guidelines, yeah, each of these are going to need some attention and love. These are actually really great. See, like, this is good stuff. Testing overview, why test, JavaScript testing, npm test, folder structure, importing tests, describing tests. This could probably use a bit more work. Oh, mocking up stuff, that's a little helpful. Importing dependencies, that's important stuff. Testing globals, this is all really helpful. Okay. So again, yeah, block grammar. Not sure about that one. Scripts, oh, I love this page. So now we could see all of the different libraries and scripts in one place. That's super helpful to know about. Managing packages, uses Lerna to NPM. I don't know how helpful that is, unless it shows you how to update Gutenberg release process, plugin releases. Here's a schedule, release tool. Okay, so this is for people involved in that process. Wow, that's cool. I guess they, put it public for whoever's doing it, but probably not for the average developer. Synchronizing WordPress trunk. Oh, but that's cool. And then localizing Gutenberg plugin. Is that in docs still? Yeah. I don't know what this is really saying, except, yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the top of that. The development contributor docs have some great resources. No, let's break it down more specifically, because we don't need to do a super high level. We already pointed them to that high level. So let's say if you want to get started hacking on Gutenberg, use this local setup guide in the docs. And then let's get some code. I want to find some. Yeah. This could be cool. Yeah. We want like this. Cool, I like that one. Remote server, also this playground. The Gutenberg repository includes a static Gutenberg playground that allows for testing. That's really cool. You can also test the playground version of the current master branch here. Can you upload an image? Yeah, no, but that's still really cool. So we could do this. And let's share that too. I think that that's a really good resource. Day 29. Okay, we might have to go over 30 days. We'll see how many of these we have. Local Gutenberg development contains a, what is this called? A static Gutenberg playground. Includes, quote, and then let's grab that. And then we could show the picture of it. Docs. Let's not forget why we're writing all of this, right? Doing it for point down. No, that doesn't look that good. Okay, schedule a post. Oh, that's day 29. Maybe there's 40 days, who knows? Okay, Git workflow. This is awesome because this is going to show you how to keep your branch up to date and keeping your fork up to date. Here we go. Let's grab that. Because if you're editing Gutenberg, and I think that, again, this stuff, I don't know that this needs to be super updated. This is kind of clear. It might need a little bit more of the introduction, but I think that this is super helpful stuff. And let's keep it going. Day 30. Here are some docs for how to keep your development copy of Gutenberg up to date with the latest changes. And then we grab that. Latest changes using Git. We'll grab that. Yeah, these are some great docs. I feel like, yeah, I guess this isn't needed for the most things. Okay, coding. Let's see how helpful this is. Because it's basically like follow the WordPress coding standards. So here's some stuff specific to package development. I don't know how helpful. Well, JavaScript is completely empty. Oh, no, imports. Imports, external dependencies. Yeah, this might be. This might not be a bad idea. Oh, it does have some JavaScript in there. Yeah. See, the tricky thing about this one is that there's already the coding standard. So this is like, we don't want to duplicate everything over. So let's just share out that we have some Gutenberg specific things. Day 30. Here are some block editor specific coding guidelines for CSS, JS, and PHP. And then we could put those right there. Code guidelines. Oh, no, it is coding. Coding guidelines for CSS, JavaScript, and HTML, PHP. Cool. Oh, you know what? I can't do 31 of 40 because a lot of these were only had all the characters used up of them. We'll see what we could do. Yeah, I don't know that we could get extra characters. So we'll just have to announce in the first one, and I could say, you know, doing 4, and we'll put it in where it's easy to see. Okay, coding standards, pretty good stuff. Looks good. Testing overview. Only thing this doesn't really have is teach you how to write tests. But this kind of from constants, dependency injection, imported dependencies. End testing, PHP test. Wow. Okay, this has got a lot of stuff. I'm not sure what to mention specifically from here, but let's grab this. Okay, so the testing overview section of the developer contributor docs could be helpful for all developers. It's like a bunch of best practices and things like that. So can we summarize a little bit of what's in there, and then how to test. I'm going to do one on mocking dependencies. Snapshots, end-to-end. Yep, I think that's good. Oh, can we add best practices? Practices, how to test, best practices, mocking dependencies, snapshots, end-to-end testing. The testing overview section of the developer docs could be helpful for all developers. Cool. I think that's pretty good. So I think that there could be one section in here, or maybe there could be a tutorial that shows how to actually do a test, because there's nothing really there on that. So I think that that would be helpful. All right, next up, we got block grammar. This did not make a ton of sense to me. I'm sure that this, oh, nope, still a little confused. Yeah, I'm gonna skip that. Yeah, so this is great. This lists all of the different vendor polyfill Ooh, bundle and code sharing using JavaScript. Oh yeah, that's fine. It includes that by default. Okay, so I was just looking at WordPress scripts. So this is going to be a great one. How much of this can we capture? Edit post. Elements or word count. Vendor scripts. Polyfill scripts. Cool. Okay. What are we at? 32, 33. The scripts overview. Bookmark this scripts overview docs. Bookmark these scripts. This scripts overview doc page listing all of the packages and scripts available in core for the block editor. Then we put a bunch of pictures of everything. Right. WP scripts. Elements. Schedule post. Cool. And then, of course, you could click into every single one of these, but these are going to link over to the packages, which we will look at independently. So I don't know. That's a great one. Managing packages. This really didn't have much information here, so I don't know that we need to do that. Gutenberg release process is helpful, but like this is really in depth for very specific people, and there's already localization. So this is kind of like a duplication of stuff. I'm not sure how helpful that is. So now let's move on to documentation for contributors. So yeah, like this is great. Copy guidelines is going to be somewhere out. Oh, no. Oh, this is all in here. Copy guidelines, tone and voice. Yeah, that's going to be somewhere else. Copy guidelines. Let's see what that's about. One, contradict or your contractions. Cut phrases, very simply enjoy. Interesting, because these don't seem to be Gutenberg specific, but I guess that's helpful. So I think the main contributor documentation is $34 now, 33, 34. Here are docs on how to contribute to documentation. It's as easy as clicking edit. So what I could do is I could highlight this and take a screen capture of that. And then I could also show like how to use links. So also want to show this one of using links. Here are some instructions and tips. And cool. So let's go ahead and schedule that one out. And that shows how to contribute, which is something I kind of showed you at the beginning. But remember how many different places there are where you could just click in and start doing that. So I think that that's really helpful. Now the history, glossary, other stuff, frequently asked questions. Yeah, I don't know. This is kind of helpful, but yeah, frequently asked questions, keywords, Gutenberg built, drag and drop, how does other styles. This is interesting. I didn't know this existed. It's just kind of like a catch-all. Okay, cool. So maybe if you see FAQs that aren't here, maybe you can answer them better. Repository management. Wait, shouldn't this be in the GitHub repo or in the contributor? Interesting. An outreach overview of it, extending it, community. Just want to see when they link outside of core what we're kind of getting at. Talks, whoa. Talks, slides. So if you're contributing and sharing stuff, this includes articles, talks, demos, and anything the community is doing to discuss and learn, contribute to exhaustive. Cool. Yeah, so let's add that. I think that that's really valuable. People can share their own stuff, you know. If you are creating content to help people learn Gutenberg, add your resources in the docs, in the outreach docs. And then we could say, quote, put that in quote, nope. Put that in quotes. Hopefully that's not too long. Okay. Add your own resources the outreach docs are for community resources. This includes articles, talks, add to it here. So what do we want to take from this? Articles. Yeah, we could just do like a big screen grab. Cool. Okay, so let's schedule that. Okay, I think we're coming along nicely. Let's see. Can we get 5 more out of these? Okay, I think we can. We could link to getting started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, let's see how many we get. Okay. Let's do the tutorials. The documentation includes a check out the tutorials section for some great walkthroughs. Getting started with JS, blocks tutorial, meta boxes tutorial, notices tutorial, sidebar tutorial, and then a format API tutorial. And we'll link to them all here. That's great. That covers it all. So let's take some screens of these, getting started with JavaScript. These are really great. It's got the build tools, troubleshooting, scoping, and queuing, extending. Wow, that's in just getting started. Okay, cool. Let's do the blocks one, take a picture of that. Yep, cool. Meta boxes. Here we go. And then let's do the sidebar API here. Change your full code. Cool. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So we've got a few different ones here. We've got getting started with JavaScript. We've got the blocks. We've got this one, and we've got this one. And what day is this? Day 36. Cool. Okay, so that'll cover all the tutorials. I think that's fine. And then we could do a couple for the component reference. So you don't need to, I don't think you need to pull these in. See, this is confusing because you shouldn't be pulling those in directly. But these are all of the components. So let's do a Storybook WordPress components. So this is an illustration of WP Storybook of all the different components that you could have. And so we can let's be a little bit more specific in that. Okay. This is not, maybe this isn't as helpful. Okay, so component reference shows documentation for all of these different ones. Okay, so we'll show this main one as a picture. We'll click into button to show a specific one. Show like a trickier one. Nope, we won't. We'll do like date time. Do a panel. See, some of these have pictures now. This has like come along quite a long way. then some of them don't. So some of these could use some consistency with this, right? Because like this shows a lot of cool components with guidelines and everything like that. So that's a place where we could definitely kind of use some help. That's cool. Okay. But let's go ahead and share this out now. 35, 36, 37. The components section of the docs is one of my favorite. It includes details for every component in the WordPress UI library in WordPress. For every reusable component in WordPress. Okay, so we link to those docs, is that right? No. Components, we load here. And then we could component reference section of the docs. It's one of my favorites. Okay. And then we got some pictures here. Okay, so these are actually wrong. So let's just do pictures of these. Button. Let's do ones that have illustrations. This one. Menu group. And then I want to include the SVG because I think that's pretty cool. Accessibility, SVG. Cool. Schedule that. 37. Okay, let's figure out 3 more. So we could do the data module reference. Okay, so let's say 38. The Redux-based data API module reference is probably one of the most important parts to begin reviewing, important parts to familiarize yourself with. It outlines all of the state management options. WordPress outlines the state management with JavaScript options in WordPress. Okay. Cool. That's a pretty good one. So now we need to like click into some of these block types. Get block type. This docs is so bad though. Like this is not helpful. This is something I've gone on about before, is that this could really use some love because not a single one of these has an example. So this is a place where, again, that repo that I showed you in my course, the Advanced Gutenberg Development, this has examples in it for a lot of these that can begin to be filled in. And this is open source, so it shouldn't be too hard to begin showing some of these. And I have some videos in my course that go over all of this. So let's grab a few of these. trigger a guide. Okay, cool. Uh-oh. We could begin deleting some of these. Okay, so we've got things like get block type, do that, do that, do that. Cool. State management, correct? It outlines state management options, JavaScript, and more. Cool. And more. That's a catch-all. Cool. 39. We need one more, and then we can do a final one. The package reference. Okay, packages. But this needs to be updated because we could also use WP scripts, which I haven't seen in here. Oh, we'll have to link to it there. Yeah, cool. So 39. Okay, the packages reference in the docs outline includes readmes, includes a readme for every package, for every core package used in WordPress, for every core JavaScript package used in WordPress. It is a gold mine of information to browse through and bookmark as needed. Cool. And we've got using packages. And then let's grab some of these, like block library. No. Yeah, let's grab like elements, WordPress element. Let's grab the scripts, WP script. Oh, yeah, scripts. API fetch. And let's grab one more. DOM ready, maybe? Ah, I want 89. Yep, here we go. Cool. Okay, so, oh, I didn't want that one then. We'll do 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Block editor docs, WordPress, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Okay, so now we're going to conclude and go back to the main block editor handbook. All right, and let's wrap it up. 40 of 40. Today concludes our walk listing block editor documentation for WordPress. Hopefully you have enjoyed this series and learned more about is available. Please consider contributing to grow the. Please consider contributing to docs as you can. Okay. Hey. All right, and now we've got the picture. Let's do one with edit. Okay, schedule post. We might need to change that later on. Okay, now I think that I am pretty good on this live stream. I'm going to touch up some of these and make them 30 out of 40 and do that. But we have walked through the docs. I hope that for those of you checking this out have found this to be helpful, if not a little boring guide on the overview of all the documentation and how you could also contribute to it and make it a lot better, even though there's so much there already for folks to learn from. So thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. This is going to wrap up officially the JavaScript for WordPress conference. And in good favor, just like a lot of WordCamps out there, sometimes the contributor days are a little bit slower, a little bit of a drag to get through because it takes some work. So hopefully this will help the community. And I really thank all of you for joining in, as well as all of our sponsors who made this possible, particularly Pantheon, Kinsta, and Frontity, to give a shout out to them specifically, as well as all of the other ones. Check out javascriptforwp.com/conference. And as a short little preview for those of you hanging here, not many, we're going to try to have an in-person edition to the JS4WP Conf next year. So if you want to come to my hometown, DC, we will still stream it all live, but we're going to try to do a little in-person as well. So we'll see how that goes. Thank you so much. Again, we will catch you next year. And of course, stay in touch on the site until then. All right. Ciao, everyone.